Welcome back. It's part 3 of my campaign update and State of the Union Workers' Bill of Rights, Employer Bill of Rights address for today. I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, past presidential candidate and current presidential candidate from the 2024 presidential election. I have not conceded because I am working for you and me and trying to get the fraud and corruption out of the election process. My vote went uncounted here in West Virginia. They said, we're not going to count it, even though I'm a U.S. citizen, even though my father's buried in Arlington. They didn't count my vote, and this is just unacceptable. So I have a lawsuit pending with the Supreme Court, and then today's topic is Workers' Bill of Rights. And so this addresses, I will say, so I just did, part 2 was about the employers, and I realized that I should say that a lot of the other things that are already in play that I didn't speak about are things that we need to keep up doing too, like a healthy environment for the workers. And so, the standard stuff that's out there already is also still applicable to the new employer-employee work relationship. So I addressed this a while ago, and I ran for president in 2020, so I think I already started this concept back then. But then I think last year I put out another one, but I can't find the video on it right now. But anyways, so because robots are coming, we anyways don't have to work as much or as hard or whatever. There's just lots of changes going to be coming. So, sorry. These are some things that I noticed in what we already have that we need to change. So, we need to make U.S. citizens a priority as far as, and employee benefits and things like that. Right now, we don't have that, and it's not working. So, what that means is that employers have to offer jobs to U.S. citizens first before they offer them to any foreign national of any sort, whether it's in banking or whether it's in the fields of, the farmland. The job has to be offered to a U.S. citizen first. And then, after that, we have, if U.S. citizens say no, then it goes to outside folks from other countries. But we need to make our citizens a priority, and we're not doing that. But with my plan, we will. Because we want happy and healthy citizens. At least that's what I want. So I think with Donald Trump, President Trump putting in Washington the National Guard and watching the crime rate drop, I think that is a clear message that, if our citizens are trained at certain military maneuvers and disciplined in defense and protection, it will decrease crime. And I've seen this in Europe, where the people have been trained in military service, and you feel safe because everybody was trained once, and so there's just not a lot of crime in these other countries. But because we don't train our people, we don't invest in our own citizens, which is appalling. we don't do ourselves any favors. So it is time we'll be doing a draft. Everyone has to sign up for the National Guard duty. And there will be a women's group and a men's group. And then there are the ones who will be there doing their minimum, which is from 18 to 35. You will 1 month a year go and do National Guard duty. And that includes like community service. So they're joining up with the National Guard does not mean going into warfare or anything like that. And the National Guard is only U.S. and U.S. territory oriented. Army is for going abroad, but National Guard is USA. And there will be a women's division and a men's division, and they will do two separate things. Or maybe they'll do the same thing. I don't know. But you will get paid for that. For some people, they'll be making more money, and for others, they'll be making less money. So the actual salaries I'll have to figure out, but this is something that we need to get started. And it's an investment in you. It's creating a network for you. It's going to be helping you to see the country and giving you expertise in different areas, giving you training on how to be a manager and a leader, and teamwork, cooperation. So it's a great way to develop character. And so this is what we're going to do. And then you will be, people in the National Guard will be stationed around the country and visible, and then people will feel safe visiting and otherwise, just going about their business. Plus, we'll be trained in what to do in certain crisis situations so that there's a lot of, potential for good education. Then there's this maternity leave type stuff that we've got right now, which is appalling. It's an insult to any family out there, any young family. So fatherhood, I think men should be around after the birth of their child for at least minimum 1 month, maybe 2. And then after that, men go on a 4-day work week from their usual work, and 1 day a week they have to be a father, where they take the obligation of being a mother away from the mother. And as you know, I plan to make motherhood a full-time job so that mothers are home always during their motherhood time, during active motherhood. There's active motherhood and passive motherhood. During passive motherhood, then it's, moving on and getting other careers going. That's absolutely possible. But what we need mothers in the home, because we've seen what happens to children when you take them out. So our current system is not working. We've got lots of violence and aggression and corruption and all sorts of ills of society. So the way we're working it currently is not working. That's why we need to bring mothers home and give mothers a salary. And, motherhood and fatherhood doesn't mean that you're married. You don't have to be. You can be. You can do the traditional. You can even do holy matrimony if you want. But mothers get paid a salary for staying home and doing their work. Now, in the transition period from being a working woman maybe to motherhood, there's going to be a gray zone. And maybe we just call it that, gray zone. And then there will be different ways of handling certain situations, because maybe some employers aren't ready to give up that mother yet. So there has to be some sort of compromise, some sort of support in transitioning from working to motherhood. And then there's going to be support on getting mothers back into the workforce once the active part of motherhood is done, because that's also lacking. There's no active support back to work. So these things are key. So fatherhood will be 1 month off minimum, maybe 2 months off, and then 1 day a week they have to spend time being a father. There might be situations where they're not living nearby. So then I need to sit down with some professionals and see maybe what a possibility for that is, because the mother might need time off, but maybe there's a other fatherly figure around. I don't know, but we'll it might be every case. It might fall into that gray zone area where every case is different. So we may have to leave some space available for different variations. But I think one thing is that men get so wrapped up in their career that they forget that they're fathers. And then they've sort of missed out on a lot. This is our current situation. And so we need to make fathers feel like they're included and that they should be included. And I think that breaking the ties between making wife and mother one job rather than two, because it's really two jobs, You can decide to be a wife if you want, and you can decide to be a mother if you want. But the two things are not hung on each other. You can be a wife to one and yet have children with someone else. I mean, if everybody wants to do that. But you have to make sure that it's clear who's doing what and why and how. I don't really recommend that variation so much, but for some people it might work. I do recommend that mothers are ready to be mothers, because you're going to be the main caregiver for babies and children. And it's a 20-year commitment. So it's not something you want to just jump into. But yeah, so also fatherhood, there'll be training and different experiences that will be available. Then employees, so workers, need to also, mental health is a huge issue in our country. We got people snapping all over the place and committing suicide and taking others with them and doing all sorts of crazy things. So I think we need to address this. Now, other countries are not having these issues because they allow their citizens to have time away from work because they know it's important. So 1 month every year is vacation time. Now you can spend your vacation time all at one time, of course, but I don't recommend that. I recommend spreading it out here and there. And I do recommend spending about 10 days in a row during one of your vacation times off, where you can really relax and get away from your normal lifestyle. So and get far enough away where you can have a real cultural experience. These things are important and they can really help. And I don't know what the sick day policy is right now, but it has to be standard. Some people shouldn't be able to have sick days and other ones not, and have it paid for. So this is not acceptable. But I guess 10 sick days a year is sort of standard, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's 14. I don't know. But I think 10 is good. But if anybody knows what it is, leave it in the comments. Then we need to improve the public transportation. So in case somehow your vehicle is not working, you should still be able to get to work within a reasonable amount of time. So we need to get public transportation up and running in every single state, in every single town and city. It's just not working the way should be. Then employees need a safe work environment and living environment. Then I would like everybody every other year to further their education. So we'll have some money available to sponsor further education training for you in your field of specialty. As you know, I'm also planning apprenticeship programs so that everybody learns a trade early on in high school time. Instead of high school, you'll be learning a trade, whether you're going to learn how to bake bread or make chocolate, or maybe you're going to learn how to work in a library or how to be a professor, or maybe you want to learn how to be an architect or a doctor. So you can decide what your career path you want, and then we'll help you get started already as a teenager, working in or near your field in the stepping stones that would lead you to that career. And then once you have that career, to keep your education going, the government will give you monies to further your education. As well as, of course, if you become a mother or father, there's education, and in the National Guard, there's education too. So we will soon be a very well-educated and teamwork-oriented, self-discipline-oriented society, which I think it will be quite exciting. So the other thing that I noticed too is that with Social Security, they've pushed back the age. And somebody made a comment on something last week when this happened, that, people who work in physical labor jobs, they can't postpone retirement so long. They've already, used their body and it's broken. So rather than go on disability, it might be better to just move the retirement age earlier. So Social Security earlier. So that if they can continue to work in a different way, that would be possible. So I think for physical laborers, 63, retirement age of 63 would be great. For people who really never did a physical labor job, 67 is fine. So I think this is maybe a different way of looking at Social Security. And then we also have the issue that wealthy people only pay a certain portion into the Social Security system, and then they stop. There's some sort of cap on it. And this is also a problem because apparently they've only got enough money, supposedly, for another 10 years. And then, there's supposedly nothing. So we need to work on our Social Security situation, because that's not really working very good. Okay, so yeah, I think this new approach to employee and employer work ethic is going to help our people. It's going to help reduce stress and strain on our people and on our companies, and then we will develop happier and healthier people. So I with the advent of robots, we're going to be displaced from a lot of jobs too. And then we need to see how we go forward with robots. But for right now, moving for men or whoever the satellite person is in a sort of mother-father role, they will this will lead to like a 4-day work week, uh, while still valuing that extra day of being a parent. And we've been, whatever, I've been listening. I know what's going on and where the holes are in our system. And these are things that are easy to implement, that will bring maximum joy and create a bond between government and people that is lacking right now. So yeah, that's the general game plan for employees and their Bill of Rights. So you have right to time off and to take care of yourself and your family. Okay, so I'm going to end here, part 3, and part 4 is the world, and I'll be right back with that. So stop by again then. Thank you, and see you in the next video. State of the world. Bye for now.